Throughout its history, Notre Dame Athletics has inspired men and women onward to victory in the game of life, often despite tremendous odds against them. These journeys have manifested themselves in a variety of physical, mental, and spiritual forms, but one element binds them together: persistence fueled by the spirit of Notre Dame. We will fight in every game, strong of heart and true to her name.
Well, of course, when I came here, it was a small university with only a few thousand students, and they were all men, of course, as was true of most great universities at that time. As time went on, it was obvious to me that women were becoming much more important in American life. I didn't think Notre Dame should be out of that enormous drama going on, so I decided to bring women in.
You know, it wasn't that easy for women in general at Notre Dame at the time. Carol, having grown up with older brothers and have followed one of her brothers to Notre Dame, I think for her, she took it all in stride.
We women, or girls or women, we were kind of a motley crew. We came from many different cities, and who on earth would want to go to a university that's mostly male, where they're not prepared for women? I was the first girl after 4 brothers. So you can imagine, I got the hand-me-downs, not just the hand-me-down clothes, but I got the hand-me-down moves too.
In the early days of coeducation, Father Hesburgh knew he needed a strong female leader, so he requested the help of Sister Jean Lenz.
She was the rector of Farley Hall. She had great humor, red hair, and had an incredible ability to get people to, live together, work together, and have fun together. Her term was, you grow up and you grow deep at Notre Dame. And Jean had a profound effect on Carol. I think to the extent that Carol lives a life of service because of her knowledge of Sister Jean.
She was a very important person in my life. Talk about humility. She was one of the most humble people I've ever met. Sister Jean, despite her small ways about her lack of self-promotion, her simple life, led actually a very powerful life, something she probably never realized. She influenced so many women and men at Notre Dame. I went to Notre Dame for an education. I really had no intention to go out for basketball. I didn't want to use the time or take away from my study time. I realized that it was really a lot of fun to be part of a sport at Notre Dame. And then, when I donned the first uniform, I couldn't believe it. Here I am, a student athlete at Notre Dame. The old-fashioned student athlete, the one who comes for the studies and winds up on a court.
Carol was probably one of the most intense people you might ever come into contact with. I'd like to say she was an overachiever, but I don't think she actually was. I think she just is somebody who achieved up to their potential. But as a basketball player, she was small, she was very fast, and she kind of had this, insight into where she needed to go and what she needed to do.
People respected her. She expected people to work hard. She was extremely competitive. If you were in the game with her, you had better give your 100%, or you'd hear it from her.
She was just one of those people who said, I'm going to pick up this program and I'm going to make it important, and she did that.
We weren't the best team Notre Dame would ever have, but we knew it was the beginning of something. And knowing the reputation of Notre Dame, we had the sense this would develop into something. Give it a few years. I think there's only good that can come out of playing a collegiate sport. As a collegiate athlete, you learn how to win and you learn how to lose gracefully. In your career, you learn how to be successful and you learn how to handle your failures.
Upon graduating from Notre Dame, Carol went to medical school in Pittsburgh, then took residency at the world-renowned Wills Eye Clinic in Philadelphia, based on a recommendation from her brother, Pat.
Wills has been around. It's the oldest eye program in the country. And her husband, Jerry Shields, began the Ocular Oncology program, I believe sometime late in the 1970s. I think she's just extended the reputation of Wills as the finest eye teaching hospital in the country. She's a big part of it. I mean, I travel to a lot of places, to a lot of meetings, and I introduced myself as Carol's brother because she's that well known and that well respected.
She's all about saving people and making life better.
In my career, you know, I have a pretty rigorous schedule. You know, I'm dealing with really serious conditions that can lead to death. You know, life-threatening conditions, and not just in people my age, in little babies. And I have to make good, sound judgments for these patients, sometimes in a split second. So I always have to be on my best game. I always have to be on top of my game. I have kind of an emotional job, but I don't show my emotions that much because in front of a patient, you want to be strong, always, and continue to have their respect and confidence in you. But I do, in my heart, feel the emotions of treating the young babies that I treat. This has happened to me 3 or 4 times, where I've had a young baby who was sent to me with one eye removed for a cancer, with the opposite eye failing. And it's my job to save that eye. I'll do anything to save that eye. And sometimes we can save the eye with a form of chemotherapy or some injection I can give. But my sad days, my saddest days, are when I have to remove that eye, because I know I'm taking away the most special sense from a young infant who will have to live his life without sight. I told you it's an emotional roller coaster. So I might have my saddest day on my happiest day. We are pioneering a new type of chemotherapy that we inject into the eye. I don't think anyone else in the United States is doing this. And some of my happiest days in recent months have been those kids that we have been able to inject the chemotherapy into their eye. All their cancer disappears. They've regained their sight, and their life is saved.
One patient in particular had a special message for Dr. Shields.
And I'm glad you went to school and studied hard to take care of me. I'm going to go to school and study hard. Go Notre Dame.
Watching Jake, when he comes in with a smile on his face, he reaches into his little bag of goodies, pulls out his iPad, and starts playing games. Little tiny balls flying across the screen. And I say to myself, he's got sight. You know, this kid can see.
Carol had absolutely no fear. You know, whether it was leading her section at Farley Hall or leading us on the basketball team, she just had such confidence and such a feeling that she deserved to be there and we deserved to be there. And so as I look at how she's progressed in her career and the kind of responsibility she currently has, you know, working with families who have children with eye cancer, and the need to be absolutely precise in everything that she does. I just can't imagine someone who I would rather go to, you know, in a time of crisis in someone's personal life to make you feel better and to know that they were going to get the job done than Carol Lally.
The chemotherapy was to save her life. And she's 2 years out, no spread. I think she's cured.
You know, this humble attitude that she has is so good for all of us to see this day and age. Her dedication to her field of ophthalmology is certainly more than any of us have, I think, to our respective fields in medicine, because she really spends many of her weekends educating people all over the world. And she's raised a family and really spent any free time away from work with her family. She's very focused on those 2 aspects of her life. And it just goes to show you that you can be a very successful person in this world, make a difference, improve the lives of thousands of people and not have to shout about it.
Yeah, I think at Notre Dame it teaches you to truly love and respect others. And that leads to lots of great friendships that really form a big part of your life, and they still do to this day. And I think at Notre Dame, they talk constantly about serving others and putting others' needs before yours. And some of it seeps in by the time you leave.
It's the silent spirit of Notre Dame. It's not the rah-rah, get out and cheer. It's that silent spirit. You want to be able to look back on your life when you're 75 years old and know that you made a difference. You can make a difference by having a child care center, if that's what you want to do. That makes a difference. Or a difference by being an artist or a painter. Or a difference by helping people with their illnesses. So it's just you choose what you want to do. But you should make a difference in your life and make a contribution to society.